I didn't mean it. Not really. It slipped out as a joke, a nervous laugh wrapped in a question I never thought would matter. But the way she looked at me, steady, kind, and a little brave, made my chest tighten. When she said, "I hope you keep that promise," something quiet and powerful changed between us. That was the moment I learned how kindness can turn a joke into a vow, a stranger into a home, and an ordinary day into the start of a life. Before we dive in, if stories like this warm your heart and remind you of the good in people, please subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. It really helps the channel grow and keeps these stories coming. You're watching Your Channel Name, and I'm grateful you're here. I met her on a sunny afternoon that felt borrowed from a better version of the world. We'd agreed to a first date at a small outdoor cafe. Wooden tables, chalkboard menus, flowers in tin cans. The kind of place where people linger because they want to, not because they're stuck. I arrived early, rehearsing lines in my head like a nervous actor, reminding myself to be normal, just be kind. That was my only rule. When she walked in, she smiled first. It wasn't loud or flashy. It was gentle, like she was offering peace before conversation. We shook hands, laughed at how formal that felt, and sat down with lemonade sweating in the heat. We talked about work, family, bad movies we secretly loved. Nothing fancy, just easy, like we'd both decided to be good to each other from the start. Halfway through, my nerves got the better of me. I cracked a joke to break the tension, pointing at the tiny ring box I'd been fiddling with. It wasn't a real ring, just a silly prop I'd picked up from a novelty shop years ago. I smiled and said, "So, will you marry me on our first date?" I expected laughter, maybe an eye roll. Instead, she paused. Her eyes softened. She didn't make a scene or tease me. She simply said, "I hope you keep that promise." Then she smiled again, like she trusted something I didn't yet understand. We laughed after that, because that's what people do when a moment feels too big. But the air had changed. Kindness does that. It opens a door you didn't know was locked. We kept seeing each other, not because the date was perfect, but because it was honest. She was kind in small ways that added up. She remembered the names of my coworkers. She asked about my mom's knee surgery and actually listened. When I talked too much, she let me finish. When I went quiet, she didn't rush me. One night, a few weeks in, we were walking back to our cars after dinner when we saw an older man struggling to load groceries into a trunk. Without thinking, she walked over and asked if he needed help. She didn't look back to see if I was watching. She didn't perform kindness. She practiced it. Another time, a waitress spilled water all over our table. I flinched, ready for the awkward moment. She smiled at the waitress and said, "It's okay. We've all been there." The relief on that woman's face told me everything I needed to know about who I was sitting across from. I realized something important. Kindness isn't loud. It doesn't demand credit. It shows up when no one's counting points. A few months later, life tested us. My dad got sick. Hospital visits replaced date nights. Stress moved in like an unwanted roommate. I started canceling plans, answering texts late, pulling back because I didn't want to be a burden. She didn't disappear. She brought soup to my place and didn't stay long because she knew I was tired. She sent messages that said, "No pressure to reply. I'm here." She showed up with kindness that asked for nothing in return. One night, after a long day, I apologized for being distant. I told her I felt like I was failing at everything. She took my hand and said, "You don't have to earn care, you already have it." That sentence changed me. Months passed, seasons shifted. We learned each other's flaws and kept choosing gentleness anyway. We disagreed sometimes, sure, but even our arguments had a softness to them, a shared goal of understanding instead of winning. Then came the day I realized the joke wasn't a joke anymore. I was standing in a grocery store aisle, staring at cereal boxes, when it hit me. I didn't want a future without her kindness in it. I didn't want a life where I wasn't trying to be better because she believed I could be. I remembered her words from that first date. "I hope you keep that promise," and felt the weight of it settle into something solid and sure. I planned the proposal quietly. No big crowd, no fireworks. Just us, back at that same cafe where everything started. The same wooden tables, the same chalkboard menu. I was nervous all over again, hands shaking like the first time. When she arrived, I took a breath and told her the truth. I told her how her kindness had taught me patience, how it had made me braver, how it had turned a careless joke into a promise I wanted to honor for the rest of my life. I knelt down. This time, the ring was real. She cried. I cried. The people around us clapped. But the loudest thing in the world was the quiet yes she whispered through her tears. We got married a year later. Not because life became perfect, but because we learned how to be kind through the imperfect parts. We still practice it every day, in how we speak, how we forgive, how we show up when it's inconvenient. I think about that first date a lot. How close I came to letting the moment pass as nothing. How easily kindness could have been missed. It reminds me that small moments carry big futures. Kindness is choosing to listen when it's easier to talk. It's offering help without being asked. It's staying when walking away would be simpler. It's believing in people before they believe in themselves. You don't have to change the world to change a life. Sometimes, all it takes is a smile, a pause, a gentle answer to a careless joke. Sometimes, kindness turns into love. Sometimes, love turns into a promise kept. If this story reminded you of the power of being good to one another, carry it with you today. Hold the door. Say thank you. Give grace where it's unexpected. You never know which small act might become someone's forever. And maybe, just maybe, the kindness you offer today will come back to you as a promise you never planned, but are grateful to keep.